So first and foremost, as you will see, we are looking at a course that sits in the context of a number of other courses within the School of Creative Technologies. Creative Technologies is an interactive, dynamic department or division within the overall School of Arts and Creative Industries. It's very exciting because it contains a number of subjects that you'll be familiar with that involve games design, music and sound design, media production, and photography. And as I go on to talk about the course, media production today, you'll see that I will be referencing a lot of these other courses specifically because of the way in which media production draws on so many of these elements. And you'll start to get a feel for how an interest in media production will also pull you into an interest in games design, music, and photography. So let's make a start then. Let's begin to think about what this course is about and what it can offer you as a 3-year degree. So first of all, who am I? My name is Dr. Helen Powell. I have been here at London South Bank University for 7 years now. I am an associate professor and my background is in creative advertising. So before coming to London South Bank, I worked for an advertising agency, particularly specialising on creative work for the brand that I'm sure you all are familiar with, Levi's. So a lot of my expertise is teaching on advertising, teaching branding, and I work across a number of courses, including media production and fashion. So I am also head of division for this group of subject called Creative Technologies. And as I say, we'll be talking through a little bit today about how all these disciplines come together in this exciting media production degree. So what we're always thinking about all the time when we are developing and designing courses is putting the student at the heart of the offer. It's really, really important that we are offering to you degrees that are current, contemporary, that enable you to develop skills that will take you on into the job market where you will be incredibly successful in the fields that you want to work. So one of the things that we do really well here at London South Bank University is to constantly review our curriculum, constantly thinking about, well, is this relevant or is that relevant? What should replace what? To make sure that the knowledge that you are attaining is up to date. And one of the ways that we do this is to work with industry professionals at an individual level or at an industry panel. And what that means is that we can mine their views and their ideas and get an insight into trends and forecasts as to what is happening within various media industries and start to think about how we can build that into our courses so that we can future-proof our courses. Because if you're studying a degree, you want to make certain that what you are learning enables you to get a job at the end of the day. So the first thing that this course will offer you is technical skills and learning that is relevant for the future. The second thing that I've already alluded to is that this course is highly interdisciplinary. The title kind of gives that away. So basically what that means is that as a media production student, you will be working with other students in relation to areas such as music. You will be touching on film, you will be touching on games design, and of course photography. All of these are areas that enable you to start thinking about how you can craft a piece of media work that responds to the brief or the project that you are working on, because the interdisciplinary nature of the media is something that is reflected in the content of our courses. But of course, it's not just the course itself that provides you with an inroad into the industry. What we offer here at London South Bank University are modules which enable you to hone in on the professional employability skills that you need to get the job that you want. So rather than leave that employability work right till the end when you're about to graduate, we bring that right into the first year, and we think very carefully about what kind of skills do you need in order to get a job within the industries that you wish to apply. So right from the first year, we're thinking about you and your skills in project management, time management, team working, reflecting, pitching. All of these industry skills are skills that you will use on the course and be able to apply in the work that you are doing. And then all of this comes together at the very end with a professional portfolio, which enables you to evidence to employers that you have a broad range of skills that allows you to evidence that you are prepared and ready to go into the job market. So how do we teach this eclectic range of subjects, skills, disciplines, and employability? Well, it's very much what we call learning by doing. It's all about you as students working in studios, working together as teams, and developing those highly practical skills in specialist environments taught by specialist technical staff, professional staff, academic staff. So that's another thing that we offer that's really important for you to understand, is the range of teaching staff on all of these courses. Some of the members of staff are staff that are working in the industry and do some teaching. Some members of staff, like myself, used to work in the industry and now teach, but we also bring in guest lecturers as well in order that they too can engage with latest trends on the course and feed in those up-to-date technical specialisms, which is going to give you a step ahead when you enter the industry. So what we're thinking about from day one is how relevant is what you are learning to the job industry. We want to make sure that everything that you do on your degree has a purpose and a value when you go and get a job, so that what we can be completely certain about is what we're offering you are industry standard skills. And one of the good things to know, and something that probably most of your parents would want to know about, is where will this particular degree lead to? You know, what is it about this particular degree that will enable you to get a job at the end of it? And I think one of the exciting things for me is that the creative industry is absolutely booming here in the UK. There is no lack of jobs. They are looking for highly skilled individuals such as yourself, with over 2 million jobs in the sector, and it really is an area of growth. So what we're able to confidently predict is that this is a degree that will enable you to get a job. So let's have a little look then at what kinds of things that you will learn. You'll want to know how all of this plays out. You'll want to know about what are the kind of modules that you will study and how these pan out across 3 years of a degree. So first and foremost, let me explain the degree structure. The degree is made up of 3 years of full-time study. So you need to be able to commit to a full-time course. And what a full-time course means is that you will need to be on campus for a minimum of 3 days a week. And as well as those 3 days, there will be times when you'll be coming onto campus for additional work, working in your teams, filming, recording, etc., etc. So you're really looking at 3 to 4 days a week when you have to be available here at LSBU. The course is 3 years and it is made up of what we call semesters. Each year is made of 2 semesters, which is a first semester taking you from September up to Christmas, and then a second semester taking you from January through to the end of May. Those are how our academic calendar work. And each of your years, your 3 years, will be made up of 2 semesters, giving you 6 semesters in total. And in each of those semesters, you will study 3 modules, what we call 3 modules or units of study. And each of those have a different name because they carry different content and allow you to have access to different kinds of skill sets. So the first module that you will take, Remix, Remake, Recycle, is a really innovative, imaginative course, highly interdisciplinary in that it's getting you to think about working with text and image, getting you to think about how a lot of the content that we receive online, the music that we hear, the art that we see, comes from looking back, using the past, mining the past to create current content. And so as a way to get you writing and thinking academically, the content of this module, where we go out to galleries, where we go and visit various productions in various formats, will provide you with content to get you to start writing. Because one of the biggest changes of coming into university from your college work is that you will be writing about ideas that you have, about exhibitions that you've seen. You'll need to write business plans, you will need to write pitches. So even though this is a highly practical course, writing is still important for getting those ideas down on paper. So through this analysis of images and text, you will in your first semester start to think about what it's like to write for university. Secondly, you'll have a module called Sound and Vision, which is, as it says, bringing 2 groups of students together, collaborating with different groups of students to be able to create visual content, but also to think very carefully about the role of audio and sound and what role that plays in terms of developing your work. So you'll be introduced to the concept of storyboarding and really thinking about how important it is to choose audio carefully in order that it may enhance the mood or the emotion and feeling of the piece that you are working on. So this module, Sound and Vision, is doing 2 things. Again, it's getting you to think about collaboration, but more importantly, it's getting you to think about how the media industries work, bringing different sets of experts together in order to effectively create content. And then the final module that you will do in your first semester of your first year is Connected Audiences. And I think this is a very important module because it's getting you to realize and recognize that you are making media for someone, that that work that you are generating, the content that you are generating, is actually going to be seen by someone. And it's getting us to think about who is the audience, who is it for? Why are they watching the content? What is it that connects the content to the audience? How they develop passions, why they follow certain individuals. But it's also getting you to think about how the audience is critical in terms of income generation as well. So Connected Audiences is really important for you to think about who are you making the work for and how you connect to them. Then, of course, we have your second semester. So you'll see the next group of 3 modules for the second semester are much more based around the technical aspect of media production. So we are looking at editing and post-production. We are looking at photographic workflows because these 2 key skills of videography and editing coupled with photography will be the tools that you will use to generate the content that you will need in order to be successful on this degree. So what we're looking at here are you being content creators, responding to live briefs, responding to requests from clients to generate content for them, and you'll be using video and photography to make that content and get that up out onto the web. And finally, to think about the client, to think about this notion that you're not just making work for yourself, but you're thinking about media production in a business setting. That is to say that you're crafting a piece of work that's in response to what a client might need, or if you're working as a freelancer, you'll still have a client that you will need to work for. We have the creative agency module, and that is really exciting in that it's getting you to respond to a brief and then learn a brand new skill, which is pitching. Many of you will be familiar with pitching. Pitching takes place on programs such as Dragon's Den, and it's really about how you sell your ideas, which is absolutely critical. So as you can see, your first year is very, very varied. It's very dynamic in that you are learning to write for university, you are learning to work as a team, you are developing really important skills in terms of photography, videography. You are also looking at how you then generate that content and you pitch it out to potential clients. So a very exciting, fast-moving first year. So let's imagine you've passed that first year and then you're then moving on to the second year. And this is really when we start to get closer to working like an industry professional. So what we have is an exciting second year that is made up of a number of different elements that focus on the media industries. So the first module that we'll talk about here is professional development and employability. This is a very interesting module as it gets you thinking about all the tools that you need to get a job. So rather than leave this till the very end of your degree, we believe that we have to get you trained around these employability skills very, very early on. So you will learn about the importance of LinkedIn, you'll learn about the importance of networking, you'll have your CV, you'll start developing a portfolio, you will hear from lots of industry speakers coming in and giving you a real taste and flavour as to what it's like to work within the media industries. And linked to that, you'll see two other modules sitting there, which is online media incubator and online media production. And what these are your first taste of designing your own project and developing a business plan and project managing that business plan in the first term, and then in the second, going on then through online media production to actually execute something. So all the time we are generating content for your final portfolio, and this is another important moment through online media incubator and online media production, that you will get to work like an industry professional, designing work and seeing it right through to the point of execution. But you might be saying, well, you know, how am I learning the skills for this? Well, as you can see, those themes of videography, editing and photography come through once again. And here we can see through the modules editing drama and expanded photographic practice, where you are now increasing your skills in those areas in order to enhance the content of your work. And finally, in the second year, a wonderful module called interdisciplinary practice, which is really allowing you to develop your collaboration skills, working in specialist groups with other students so that you can produce something unique and dynamic by working with others. So by now you should start to get the idea of the key themes coming through this course. It's about developing your video skills. It's about thinking that content creation has to come through really strong sound and image, and that content creation that we're making for the web, that we're making for social media, also relies on a lot of photography as well. So Adobe Creative Suite is a very important part of the tools that you'll be using. And as you can see through editing drama and expanded photographic practice, they are really taught in a technical way at level 5. And then, of course, we've got your employability skills and your team working skills through the interdisciplinary practice. This then takes you to the final year. And for me, this is really an exciting year, because it's all about you crafting work that you're really interested in. It all culminates in an end of year show in May, where students showcase and show off the work that they are doing. And it means that everybody on the course gets to produce some really authentic work. So this is what I call the big project, the major project year. And what it's about, you know, curating work that you feel passionate about. So it may be that you are making a documentary. It may be that you are designing a website for a brand. It may be that you are even taking part in a rebranding or branding exercise. And we'll have a look at an example in a moment that someone has done. So it's really about you translating your passions into something that you can be proud of. In order to create such a big project, then, of course, you'll need some help in terms of research. So we have specialist modules in research methods for production students, teaching you the right way to go about making a professional, substantial piece of work. And you'll also have a supervisor who will take you through that final year. The major project module will give you milestones and guidance for all students to go about creating that project. And then finally, again, professional practice and portfolio kick in. They are very important, because this is about where you will develop your portfolio, that industry portfolio that is the gateway to you gaining the employment that you wish, either working for a company or as a freelancer. So for me, I think this is a very current and lively course, and it appeals to particular students. Above all, it's about people who enjoy Instagram content, generating TikTok videos, who have their own website, who like to blog. It's about people who are recognizing the value of social media and social media platforms as a channel by which ideas get out there in the public domain, either in a socio-cultural sphere, or more importantly, for businesses, as becoming the key vehicle now that businesses get their messages out there. So you need to be someone who is passionate about tech. We will teach you the skills, but you need to come armed with a passion and lots of ideas. It's an area, content creation, that is absolutely expanding in terms of the job market right now, because everybody wants content for their websites. They want short videos, they want promo work. And either if you're working for a particular client to generate, or as a freelancer generating for business, then you will have great opportunities in terms of getting your work out there in front of an audience. And this concept of the audience runs throughout the whole of this degree. You need to be thinking about your target audience. Who are you making it for? What age are they? You know, what knowledge do they bring to their interactions with the content? And therefore you will have to craft your work accordingly. So we will teach you how to design, shoot, and package this creative content. The content will always come with what we call a brief, a set of instructions that will guide you on what the client wants from your work. But also what it's about is about you thinking that this is a rehearsal for where you go in terms of your career. And this notion of the career sits in the concept of the live brief. So we don't have any examinations at all on this course. It's various kinds of coursework, either working individually or as a team, where you are responding to something that is out there happening in the world, and you are crafting and shaping your ideas around that content and beginning to think about how you can turn those ideas into content creation for the web. And the various formats, the various ways in which you utilize storytelling and telling stories is incredibly important, whether that's short form content or longer form is really quite critical to think about as you develop across the 3 years. And this notion of reaching audiences through content creation is what this course is all about. So we work to live briefs, we bring in industry to actually tell us what their problems are and how we as students can help them solve them. So what will you study? You'll study how to create logos, GIFs, digital artwork, animation. We'll teach you Adobe Creative Suite, Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, After Effects. We'll teach you how to incubate and develop ideas for documentary projects. We'll get you to think theoretically so that you are able to translate how you encounter the world and translate that into ideas that you can actually write about and turn into various forms of content, whether it's long form like an essay or whether it's a business plan. We'll get you developing your skills in terms of camera, editing, cinematography, sound and producing. And finally, we'll get you to navigate and produce that online media content that we've been talking about so much to date. So I thought I would finish today before we hand over to the chat and get you to interact with me with some questions. Is around this notion of what kind of final projects are people delivering. I think it's really important for you to get an idea about the kind of work that students are working on. So one of the big areas that we are looking at here is user experience. And this was a project that a student submitted last year. And I think for me, this is an interesting project because it really shows how media production students are going out into the world, identifying problems and thinking about how they can reflect their own perspective, ideas around that particular problem. So this was a student who was very sensitive to a world coming out of COVID. And she was very much aware that a number of businesses were struggling following COVID, struggling to the point of actually closing down. And one area that was particularly noticeable was the restaurant trade, because following lockdown, people had began to divert their habits towards eating in at home in front of the TV and or using Deliveroo as a channel to bring food into the house. So what that meant was that restaurants that previously had relied on people sitting down and booking were really struggling. So what she did was partner up with a local Mexican restaurant in her area that quite openly talked to her by building a relationship with her around how much they were struggling. And what she wanted to do was to work with them to do a rebrand and a social media campaign for the restaurant to consider as a way of trying to boost trade post-COVID. So this was a project that was very much a partnership between her and a local business, and she was employing her production skills, her media production skills, to solve a particular problem that that business was experiencing. So she's thinking then about doing a rebrand for them, which involves lots of research, thinking about how other restaurants, competitors, other businesses in this sector are actually representing their brand to an audience. It's about understanding who the audience is, how they receive messages, and importantly, how they engage with various promotional tools. So she would start off in this year-long project, beginning to think about, the look and feel of what this rebrand might involve. So she starts off with a mood board, pulling down various images, text, objects, graphics, and color to get a feel and sensibility for what this new brand might look like. She talks to the restaurant, she does interviews with potential customers to get them thinking about Mexican food. What does it signify? What's their experience of it? When would they go for Mexican? And starting then to build up a repertoire of images that she can start to employ in her own designs. Once she's done that, she then starts to think about logo design. What might she actually use to design a logo for the restaurant and a name for the restaurant so that people recognize it. And I think the important thing to realize here is the attention to detail, the amount of research that's required, because by your final year, you will have to justify all the choices that you are making within your design work. So as you can see, this is actual submission work. She is presenting in a lot of detail all the decision-making processes that she is working through. She is telling us about the choice of colours and why they have been chosen, and the typography that goes to define the brand identity that is being created. The fonts are also incredibly important, because we start to realize how different fonts signify different tones of voices, how we want to reach our consumer. And the font that we use substitutes us actually talking to the consumer face to face. So it's really important that we choose a font that communicates the brand's identity effectively. So now we're starting to work into mock-ups. What might brand merchandise for this new restaurant look like, for this rebrand for the restaurant look like? And we start to see her playing around with various iterations in terms of the cups, in terms of some takeout food. We've got a menu here for inside the restaurant itself. And then importantly, we start to see the crafting of the social media campaign. And this is where the research methods teaching comes in importantly, because she carries out various forms of research to get lots of feedback on how these ideas might come together and how they're being received by our audiences. So she runs focus groups, questionnaires, all of which is taught in the research methods, so that she's constantly and getting feedback on the design, designing and getting feedback on the design as the course develops. So that's an example of the kind of projects that people are working on in their final year, responding to real life situations. So let's bring us back then, as I come towards the end of this presentation, to just summarize where we are. We're located in a fantastic part of London, the Elephant and Castle. It means that you are within walking distance of so many different cultural events down on the South Bank. You are right on a number of different tube lines, which means you can get anywhere within London, and it's a lively, buzzing place. And I would recommend anyone to come down for our next open days or campus tours to really get a feel for how vibrant this area is. We are right at the centre of the Elephant and Castle, and you can see that our production facilities are named Elephant Studios, and they are complemented by game studios, editing and grading suites, Dolby Sound studios, photography studios, lots of printing facilities, a bespoke gallery, and also a kit room. And I think the kit room is a wonderful resource that we have here, not just for the kit that's provided, but also for the fantastic staff that work there. They are incredibly helpful, supportive, and if you need help with any equipment for any work that you are doing, they are always on hand to support you. So you don't have to travel around. All our facilities are in one place, in one space, enabling you to access everything very easily and efficiently. So as well as myself, here is a really important person who teaches on the course. This is an example of the sorts of staff we employ. As I said, right at the top of this presentation, these are academics who also come with industry skills, who have their own projects, who do their own freelancing work. So they really are at the top of their game and keen to share their passion for the subject with you. And so my final slide today, before I move over into the chat and deal with any questions you might have, is just to reassure you that this really is a fantastic area to be working in terms of content creation. And if we look at a quote from the London Mayor on the 8th of November, you know, he really is showing us that the creative industries in London is an area of growth. Indeed, 1 in 5 jobs now, you know, are in the creative economy. So following the pandemic, it is clear that this is an area that is driving the economy forward and one for celebration. And so there is, no doubt in my mind that we are crafting here a really exciting, dynamic course that will enable you to get jobs and allow you to lead a fulfilling career on graduation.